We've been looking at the South Carolina Palmetto tree, which is our state tree. It has a lot of significance to our state's history, and it's a form of pride for our state. So we've talked about how to draw the palmetto tree, starting with the trunk in a skinny rectangle, and then talking about how to draw the branches in a couple different ways. We talked about you could start with your rectangle, and you could use lines that kind of look like fireworks coming up and out of the palmetto tree, and then you could go in and add the lines, small zigzags, to show all of the individual palm fronds. For some of you that was a little bit more difficult, so we said you could add just single lines like this to show the shape of the palm fronds and fill in as needed. And then another option we showed you was to use the rectangular trunk. And if you wanted to think about it more as each branch being a shape, you could go down and back up, out and in, out and in, up and back in, and then go to the other side, down and up, out and in, like that. Then you could, of course, add your texture for the trunk or each palm frond. So whichever way is easier for you to draw is great. Today, though, we want to get started with our clay project. We are going to be making a clay palmetto tree. And I have a couple examples right here that some other students have made in the past. And as you can see, these are both a little different. This one has those thicker palm branches, and then with the pencil on the wet clay we had drawn in the texture to show each individual palm frond and the texture on the trunk. This one is a little bit different because they made their branches a little bit skinnier. The only problem with this is when you work with clay, the thinner and skinnier a piece of clay gets, the more breakable it is. So it's really a miracle that these little teeny pieces have not gotten broken. And also, it depends on how good of detail you are, because this is a lot more intricate to cut out with the clay. So I'm going to recommend trying to do one a little bit more like this, because the branches are stronger once your clay is made. So we're going to make a stencil today. A stencil, if you remember, is something we use as kind of a tracing tool. We're going to get a thicker piece of tag board and we're going to fold it in half. This is kind of similar if you were going to make a heart, a symmetrical heart that you cut out, and when you open it up, it's the same on both sides. We want to use this instead to make our palmetto tree. It's going to end up looking like this. So our palmetto, when we make it, we're going to have it folded. So you really only have to draw half of your palmetto tree. Doesn't matter which side you use. The big important thing though is you draw it the center of the palmetto tree on the folded edge. A lot of people have a really hard time with this, okay? This is the folded edge that's connected in the middle, and this is the open edge where you open your paper, okay? So folded edge, open edge. So what I'm gonna do is find that folded edge. I'm gonna put my finger right here, okay? If you're left-handed, you could flip it to the other side if you needed to, but folded edge, I'm gonna put my finger right there, and I'm gonna use my finger kind of as a guide to know how thick my trunk needs to be. And you wanna kind of go about halfway up your little piece of paper like this for your trunk. Then use your whole paper. Use what you have. You don't want your tree to be too small. So now my branches, I'm gonna reach all the way over to the edge of my paper. Then I'm gonna go back up, out, back in, out, back in. Up a little bit and out, back in, up, out. Now if you notice, my branches are about as thick as my finger. They get a little bit smaller at the top just because they're smaller branches, but that's a good rule of thumb to help you not make them too skinny or too fragile. Now, once you're ready and have your tree drawn, you can cut it out, and I'll show you that in just a second. But y'all, if you mess up, don't worry about it. Flip it over, use the other side, or flip it inside out. Remember, you only need one side where your tree is drawn to get your stencil. Let me grab some scissors, I'm gonna show you how to cut it. I know a lot of you don't love using these small scissors. You think they're for the younger kids, but when you're cutting something small like this and intricate, meaning little tight spaces, those big scissors that we have often end up to pieces getting cut off because you just can't control them as easily, and that's okay. And it's smaller shapes, smaller scissors. So I'm gonna first start by using my scissors. Remember, sharpest point of your scissors is back here at the back, and you wanna put the paper all the way to the back. You always point your scissors away from you. You never wanna turn your hand so you're pointing back at yourself, and that's uncomfortable to your wrist. So I'm gonna line it up right on top of my pencil line and cut. Slide my paper back, cut. All right, I'm gonna stop right here. Now, it's kind of hard to turn with your scissors that curve, so you want to pull your scissors out, and I'm going to start again down here at the bottom. Now, when you're doing a curve, turn your paper, not your hand with your scissors, okay? And I hope one thing you noticed, did I open up my paper to cut it? No, I'm leaving it shut, I'm leaving it folded, so we're cutting two sides at once, making it easier for you, less work. All right, so now I'm gonna cut this line, turning my paper, stop, pull my scissors out, go back to the end, cut. I'm going slowly if you notice. That way I can be careful and not overcut. And look how easy this makes it. I'm cutting one side, pulling my scissors out, and then watch how easy. I don't have to go around any crazy corners with my scissors. Cut, and the pieces just fall right out. Start again up here. Scissors out. Pieces fall right out. Pieces fall out. All right. So I'm gonna push my pieces to the side and they go in the trash can. Remember, if you're not using your scissors, they are down on your table. You don't need to walk around with them. Okay, now I'm ready to open it up. Dun, da, da, da. And there you have my Palmetto tree stencil. Make sure you get your name on there. And we'll be ready for next week when you get your slab of clay. Awesome job, hope this helps.